From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, this is Iowa Ag Matters. In today's show, Mark tunes into Senator Chuck Grassley's weekly ag conference call. I have a grain marketing update with Michael Weidner of Landus Cooperative, and we learn about USDA's scientific research priorities in a segment from Bain of USDA Radio. I'm Riley Smith, one of your hosts for today, and joining me now is Mark Magnuson. And Mark, it's hard to believe that we are so close to the Iowa State Fair already. It does feel like fair weather outside. It is hot and muggy. And soon enough, we'll be at the broadcast shed right outside the Super Bowl on the fairgrounds.
Yeah, knock on wood, Riley, but I'm really hoping that the forecast kind of holds that we've been hearing about here recently for the end of July, where it's going to cool off a little bit. Hopefully that continues through the start of August, and we can have some comfortable temperatures for the fair, because I think everyone would agree that if it is overly hot, it just makes the fair just a little bit less fun, even though it's still a great time and we're still going to go and enjoy the fair. It's just not quite the same if it's just so miserably hot. So hopefully it cools off just a little bit and we can enjoy the fair at, full tilt. But yeah, it's not far away. We're looking at basically a month away. And I know we're getting ramped up towards some of the things that we will be covering, but also some of the fun things. And one of those things that we've talked here on the show about recently has been the food contest. And I know they narrowed down some of those finalists, didn't they?
That they did, and there's a lot of familiar faces in the Fair Food finalists. If you guys can remember, past 2 years, the winner has been Win and Sarah's Kitchen with those egg rolls. Once again, this year they have a dish in the finals, the All-American Scrambled Egg Roll. We've talked about that a bit. It is golden egg roll with thick-cut smoky bacon, savory sausage, hash browns, farm-fresh fluffy scrambled eggs, and melted cheddar cheese. And I mean, if you ask me, that just sounds like probably every Iowan's delight. So I think that one's going to do some pretty good numbers this year. They also have the ultimate mini apple pie, and that's one that maybe I didn't anticipate. Just because it's pretty simple. It's a deep fried apple pie served with vanilla and cinnamon ice cream drizzled with homemade apple syrup. But sometimes simple is the best. There are some things that get pretty convoluted at the fair. Like they have so many things included, and I think just a simple apple pie might be good for some people.
I totally agree with you, Riley. Sometimes simple is the best, and I have to say that just sounds so good right now, especially on a super hot summer day like today.
Absolutely. And then the last one is the one I'm the most excited for because it's from my favorite place on the fairgrounds, Destination Grill. It is a porky parm gnocchi. So it is gluten-free, very important for my gluten-free folks out there. Potato gnocchi and graziano sausage with Parmesan sauce and a pesto drizzle, shaved Parmesan, fresh parsley, and then topped with an America 250 flag. There's a lot of that this year, a lot of America 250 theme. I believe they had an America 250 dish that they selected as their America 250 dish of the year. Yeah, the Sweet Americana at Over the Top was the best red, white, and blue new food. I think there's going to be a lot of fun things at the fair this year when it comes to that theming. It really does feel like a lot of the vendors are just going full bore into that theme this year. And already today, we're looking at the ag marketplace, and there's some interesting movement. We'll have more of that in the midday market segment later. But here is Mark's conversation on the grains from this morning.
Joined today by Zach Hooker of Comstock for the opening market discussion. Zach, what's happening with the trade in the grains after a green day on our screens yesterday in the grains?
Yeah, absolutely. Yesterday was pretty impressive across the board there. And we're seeing just a little bit of, I guess we'll say the grains are collecting themselves after an explosive day. We're kind of mellowing out here just a little bit. As of right now, December corn is down 2 at 467.5. November soybeans are even at 1201 3/4, and then wheat is mixed, but very, very close to unchanged on the day, as it kind of just again takes a breather and collects itself after yesterday.
And speaking of yesterday, it was wheat leading the charge. We saw those wheat markets flying up with price movement to the upside, and that is all pointing back to the situation with Russia and Ukraine for the most part, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've kind of had that whole situation ramp back up, and in what is turning out to just be a never-ending war over there. We've got some infrastructure being damaged in the Black Sea regions, which is just becoming a huge kind of fundamental factor that's continuing to push these wheat prices up. And as this wheat corn spread, for those who have been watching it, which is typically, we'll say in the in the $1 range, we're well above $2 now. And so as that spread continues to widen, corn has had no choice but to kind of follow wheat to the upside there.
So we do see that relationship quite often where corn moves along with the wheat. We also saw the soybeans with some slight gains yesterday. So was that soybeans just along for the ride, Zach, in your opinion, or was there something else to the soybean side?
I'm sure we had some of that was just, soybeans kind of getting excited along with the grains there. But the main factor that I would say was our NOPA crush numbers came out and were quite bullish. We crushed a June record of 214.3 million bushels of soybeans, which was well above expectations. And we saw lower lower stocks as well in our soy oil, which should kind of give the entire complex a boost. Again, we're not seeing a ton of follow through there today, but when you have a big day like that, it's normal for the morning after to kind of have some collection, I guess we'll say.
Zach, here in Iowa, I was looking at the forecast, and while we're dealing with these very high temperatures right now as well into the 90s, it is going to cool off just a little bit in the coming days towards the end of the month. And I'm talking, when I say a cool down, more like the 80s temperatures, mid 80s. Is that kind of the widespread forecast, or are there still going to be those areas with hot spots?
I think we'll still have some of those hot spots here, but really across the country, I think we should at least see a 10-degree drop across the whole growing region. I'm out in the Mountain West, and we've got we'll see. I cross my fingers, knock on wood, but we're supposed to have some rain in the forecast here in the coming weeks, which is potentially a rally killer for with some of that in the Midwest. But we really won't complain too much because it's hard to really appreciate a rally if you've got no crop to benefit from it.
And especially as we get to these critical growth stages, we need every bit of moisture that we can get.
Looks like another perfect day to get out there and enjoy the summer.
You hear that? Live music, laughing kids, the roar of the rides, and someone yelling, "Corn dogs!" That's Fair Spirit at the Iowa State Fair, August 13th through 23rd in Des Moines. 11 days of blue ribbon traditions, big summer nights, incredible food, and the kind of memories you talk about all year long. This is your Iowa State Fair. Plan your visit now at iowastatefair.org.
August 13th through the 23rd.
You're listening to the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. This is Iowa Ag Matters, and it is time now to hear from Senator Chuck Grassley's weekly Ag Conference call, his opening comments from this week. Here is Senator Grassley.
Well, the Finance Committee is meeting again on a very important group of nominees. These are 5 nominees that would serve on the International Trade Commission. The commission was created, I don't know how many decades ago, but it was created to be an independent voice on international trade issues. Farmers, I think, are going to recall the commission's decision in 2021 that the Mosaic Fertilizer Company needed protection from imports of Moroccan phosphate. And by the way, Morocco produces more phosphates than any other country on the globe. And Mosaic asked for this protection. Can you believe this? As they controlled already 85% of the domestic phosphate production. And of course, the decision for the imports resulted in an 18% tariff on Moroccan phosphate. So in just 4 years, family farmers have paid an additional $7 billion for their fertilizer because of these tariffs. So we should be thankful that President Trump recently suspended the countervailing duties on phosphate imports in June, and that is very much a step in the right direction. Now just think, 5 years after the Trade Commission's ruling, Mosaic is bringing in major profits and at the same time producing less fertilizer. The company has even announced plans to shut down more of its U.S. production. U.S. still imports around the same amount of phosphate, but it comes from countries in the Middle East. And, that is a very sensitive area because it's got to go through the Strait of Hormuz. If confirmed, I hope each of these nominees consider the facts of each case and the nuance of each industry as they make determinations. Favoring one or two producers that dominate domestic production and choosing to ignore the facts of a case is not the job of these commissioners.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
Well, Mark, I'm sure it's obvious today, but Dustin not on the show because he is on the road to the Story County Fairgrounds to present another one of our Heart of the County Fair awards. And this is the third one we've been able to do this year already. And it's been such a great time. It's always good to recognize these people. I know you had a great time recognizing the family last year.
Certainly did, Riley. And I know as well that Thierry, our intern, went along with you to the recent Adair County Fair. And I know he was enjoying that because I'm not sure he has much exposure to county fairs. In fact, I don't even know if he's been to one before he went to the Adair County Fair.
I don't think he had been, and he was absolutely wide-eyed and bushy-tailed at this fair. And, I will say Adair County Fair, great little county fair, and it was also an honor to recognize Gerald Secra with that award. So we are very excited to continue doing this in 2026. More Iowa Ag Matters in a moment.
At the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, we deliver ag-focused content designed to complement your local radio station. From market updates to the latest ag news, our trusted farm broadcasters bring you the information you need while your local station keeps you connected to the heart of your community. And just like your local station, our broadcast team is Iowa-based, so we have feet on the ground across the state. Together, we're stronger for Iowa's farmers. This message from your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Time to run down the basis numbers here on Iowa Ag Matters for this Thursday, the 16th of July. I'm Dustin Huffman. About half or more than half of our elevators have switched prices. Most of them, though, have started going lower, especially on the corn side. A couple of them, though, did go higher. Let's run them down. ADM Burlington, a dime under on corn, $4.39. Soybeans, 13 cents under, $11.93. Cargill and Eddyville, 20 cents under on corn, $4.29 for the cash bid. New Co-op Algona, 20 cents under on corn. They're at $4.29. Soybeans, 20 cents under, cash bid, $11.86. Ag State Sheldon, 17 cents under on corn. They're at $4.32. Soybeans, 40 cents under November at $11.64. Ag State Elta, 29 cents under on corn. Cash bid, $4.20. Soybeans, 35 cents under November at $11.69. We'll be staying with August beans from here on out. Cargill Cedar Rapids, a dime under on corn, $4.39. Soybeans, a nickel over, $12.11. Five-Star Co-op Nashua, 30 cents under on corn, $4.19. Soybeans, 30 cents under, $11.76. Lincoln Way Energy Nevada, 19 cents under on corn, cash bid $4.30. ADM Des Moines, near even on soybeans, the cash price $12.06. New Co-op Red Oak, 21 cents under on corn, $4.28. Soybeans, 25 cents under, $11.81. Mid-Iowa Cooperative Green Mountain, 45 cents under on corn, cash bid $4.04. Soybeans, 50 cents under, $11.56. New Co-op Sheraton, 24 cents under on corn, they're at $4.25. Soybeans, 25 cents under, cash price $11.81. Walk-On Feed Ranch, 41 cents under on corn, $4.08. Soybeans, 56 cents under at $11.50. New Co-op Glidden, 31 cents under on corn, $4.18 for the cash bid. Soybeans, 25 cents under, $11.81. Innovative Ag Farley, 39 cents under on corn, $4.10. Soybeans, 55 cents under, $11.51. And at Cargill Muscatine, they're 16 cents under on corn, $4.33. Soybeans, 20 cents under, cash bid $11.86. Cash corn and soybean bids are subject to change without notice. Always check with your local elevator when making sales to obtain the most recent price. With this check of your basis numbers on Iowa Ag Matters, I'm Dustin Huffman. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this message.
Rod Stewart.
When I see you tonight.
A special evening with the icon.
On a downtown train.
A night of hit After hit. After hit. With special guest Richard Marks. Friday, August 14th. Iowa State Fair Grandstand. Reserve tickets on sale now through iowastatefair.org. Don't miss an electrifying event. Friday, August 14th. Rod Stewart. Live.
You're listening to Iowa Ag Matters, and it is time now for the midweek grain marketing update with Landus Cooperative. Here's Riley Smith with more.
Riley Smith, Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, on the phone right now with Michael Weidner. He's the Director of Grain Origination and Producer Strategy at Landus Cooperative. And Michael, it has been a bit of a crazy time in the ag marketplace recently, seen a lot of market movers. Of course, we're in that weather market right now. Got a few other factors weighing in on that as well, but what are some of the top things that you're seeing impact this current marketplace?
Yeah, thanks for having me today, Riley. Really appreciate it. Plenty of going on in the market here. We talked before jumping on. Obviously, we've got U.S. weather as this crop goes through pollination, or some of it already has, but over the next 10 days, a hefty portion of it across the Midwest to go through pollination. We've got Middle East headlines back at the forefront, as well as overnight, some more tensions cranking up between Russia and Ukraine, which really impacted the wheat market today. We saw Kansas City wheat up almost 45 cents at one point, which would have been the limit. Chicago followed as well, and then we saw corn and beans hang in there all day and follow the leader there in the wheat market. So plenty to talk about, plenty of stuff going on. Had a couple crop reports to close out June, and on July 10th from USDA that were also modestly supportive to the grain complex.
And as we look at those reports impacting the marketplace, obviously at the end of June, we had quarterly grain stocks and then the acreage reports. They really indicated, as well as the July WASDE report, that supplies are tighter than we thought. And as we look at that, that's going to cause some pressure, make the weather market even more volatile. What do you see going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those reports were, I wouldn't say they were outright bullish necessarily, but they were definitely supportive and make things very interesting if we get some things to come together, i.e. China coming in, making some purchases, both on the 25,000 or 25 million metric ton on the soybean side. If they were to come in here and buy some corn, maybe some wheat and cotton, I mean, it's a pretty dynamic market and definitely makes it very critical that we see some of these trendline yields achieved in the U.S., call it 183 on the corn, 53 or so on the beans. And I think, looking at the weather side of things, too much water in some pockets of the Midwest, too little in some drier pockets as well. It's really bringing into question if we're going to be able to achieve those yields. And the reality is, with some of those numbers we got, Riley, with some U.S. carryouts getting tight down around 1.8 and almost 300 million bushel on beans, it's kind of bringing into question, do we achieve those yield numbers? Because we really need them now that this demand is so strong, and that's really what's tightened down the hatches on this U.S. carryout.
Looking at the Russia-Ukraine war and then the U.S.-Iran war, of course, Russia-Ukraine we've been dealing with for, I believe, going on 4 years now, and U.S.-Iran situation as well. We thought that was going to be winding down, but instead has kind of ramped up again. That's two major shipping straits that are impacted through that. Creates a lot of added extra pressure there. What are we seeing so far for the pressure on the markets? I know the wheat really shot up today.
Yeah, great points on the straits being closed. I mean, it definitely disrupts, global flow of not just energies, fertilizers, which are all things we battled, but even grain now when you bring back Russia and Ukraine into play. So it's dynamic market and a lot of things being thrown at this board of trade, especially, I think, but just stepping back in bigger picture, like where are the opportunities for growers? From our seat, I think this is an opportunity to try and get behind the old crop bushel, kind of a second chance rally here in July to clean up old crop stocks, while also, if you are getting more confident in your new crop in the field, looking to advance those sales and add to some of those sales that you may have made in April and May when we had that first initial rally. It's pretty rare. The wheat rallied 45 cents alone today, and we've seen corn rally 45 cents in 2 weeks. So pretty rare move, statistically speaking, and one that probably shouldn't be ignored there on the new crop futures.
So when we look at marketing strategies through this time, there are some good opportunities to take advantage of some profits that are coming from this pressure on the marketplace. But like we said as well, it's very volatile. It can be shifting at any given moment. What are some of the strategies that you would recommend for producers to be able to take advantage of those prices without putting themselves too far out there?
Yeah, I think you got to stay flexible here. We spent most of the interview here talking about all the stuff that's going on in the world that could impact price, up or down every stinking day and really every hour. And so I think it comes down to, again, honing in on your cost reduction, focusing on what's the best fit for your operation, maintaining a little flexibility in these strategies, because as we know, this thing can change on a dime. And so, on the corn side, I think it's important to take care of those priority bushels. Those are the ones you got to move off the combine for storage and cash flow needs. Harvest is right around the corner, believe it or not, 2 months away. And, rewarding this type of move makes a heck of a lot of sense. I mean, if you're looking at 225 bushel corn, a 45-cent rally, it's over $100 an acre that we just tapped on this market. And hopefully that means something good to your operation. You're making money. And I think from a strategy standpoint, you're talking about minimum price contracts. Maybe you're selling cash, buying some call options to stay in the market beyond harvest, into that new year, the January, February timeframe. And then really, Riley, on the beans, no different story there. We're within a dime or so of our calendar year high on the board for the new crop beans, and would also look to, execute some cash sales, maintain some flexibility with calls. As we know, we have a really important Brazilian growing season that'll kick off in September, October with planting. And as we know, there's plenty of volatility and question marks down there through their growing season as well. So you might want to have some calls in your back pocket into that 2027 early winter.
All right, Michael, lots of great information today. For anybody who would like to get in touch for more grain marketing information, how can they do that?
Yeah, go to our website there, www.landus.ag, and there's a form that you can fill out, and that email will come directly to myself, and we'll be in touch with you, and would love to visit and talk some grain marketing strategies.
Thanks again for the time, as always, Michael, and we'll talk again in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Riley. Appreciate it.
ACM and CMA award winner, Hardy.
That's my favorite country song.
Live in concert.
I woke up on the wrong side of the truck bed this morning.
August 13th, 8 p.m., Iowa State Fair Grandstand.
You got it good, old boy.
With special guest McCoy Moore. Hardy Live. Reserve tickets on sale now through iowastatefair.org. Hardy 2026.
This is the Midday Market Update on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson, joined at midday by Brian Doherty of Total Farm Marketing. Brian, what's happening with the trade in the grains?
At the moment, Mark, prices have flipped over. When I say at the moment, so both corn and wheat in particular had pretty good jumps on the overnight trade, as did soybeans. And now we're trading weaker. So I've got corn, let's just call it about a nickel lower if I looked at all the contracts. About a nickel lower corn, about 4 lower in beans, 3 to 4 lower in wheat. Front months, Chicago. The back months are holding some carry. They're up about a penny. Kansas City wheat about 3 lower. So you've got what we call a reversal working on the day so far. That just means the high from today was higher than yesterday, and right now trading lower. Pretty good surge in prices, in particular wheat. So the question is, when you get a surge based off of things like, Russia not being able to move as much wheat, is that something that has longevity, or is that more of a short-term thing where the market prices that in and then it becomes kind of old news until something else? That's the question in the wheat market right now.
What's happening on the livestock side of the trade today?
Well, cattle are, again, getting crunched out pretty hard here, down over $3. It looks like when you look, there's probably a combination of things there. One, the continual slip in cutout values, lower cash prices, and then the chart's really getting kind of beat up today. So to give you an example of that, if I want to look at, for instance, I'll just pick a contract, the October live cattle. Soft day yesterday, retested the lows from back in early June, in which, when that low was established, the market made a huge bullish key reversal upward, and then the market ensued a rally, $10 to $12. Here we broke support, and now the market plunged. It didn't find any big buy orders underneath the market, and so you've got a big, heavy technical day. Likely sell stops are underneath that market. It's been a very good market, cattle, the last 18 months.
That was Brian Doherty with Total Farm Marketing. We will have a check of the numbers next.
No one knows your fields better than you, but it's hard to be everywhere at once. Sky Scout from Landus Cooperative helps you keep an eye on every acre throughout the growing season. Using aerial imagery and expert analysis, Sky Scout can help identify crop stress, stand concerns, nutrient issues, and other potential challenges before they become bigger problems. The result? More informed decisions and greater confidence in every pass across the field. Because the earlier you know, the more options you have. Talk with your Landus representative or call 515-817-2100 to learn more about Sky Scout today.
September corn down 6.5 at $4.41. August soybeans down 4 cents at $11.98 1/4. August soybean meal up $3 at $321.90. August soybean oil down 5 cents at $72.87. Chicago wheat down 3 1/4 at $6.74 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 3 cents at $6.80. Kansas City hard red wheat down 5 1/4 at $7.14 3/4. September oats down 6 3/4 at $3.48. On the Merc, August live cattle down 3.75 at $226.38. August feeder cattle down 5.03 at $344.93. August lean hogs up 5 cents at $100.38. August pork cutout unchanged at $114.88. Class 3 milk up 58 cents at $17.62. That was a check of the midday markets on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson.
Jumping back into the marketing conversation now with Mark Magnuson as he visits with Zach Hooker of Comstock Investments. This is the livestock conversation from this morning before we got the midday news update. Here's Mark with more.
Let's talk about the livestock side.
Absolutely.
Zach, what's happening with the trade for cattle and hogs?
Gosh, we continue to see the cattle complex just give up dollars at a time in the futures. Looking right now, we've got August feeder cattle down 55 cents at $349.40. October feeder cattle down $1.75 at $337.10. In the live cattle, August live cattle are down not quite $1 at $229.22. And really, that's just being led by the cash market. The cash market is just failing to give us anything here. As some of the trade that we heard from yesterday was in the 235 to 240 range. It looks like 238 may be an average that we'll get this week out of the fed cattle. And that's just it's tough for the futures to mount a rally when cash continues to give up chunks at a time there.
And when you look at that live cattle market, it has really been stacking down days now, essentially since the end of June. What does that mean as far as a trend that we're looking at right now?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really hoping that we this trend isn't going to last forever. But gosh, we're in some of these contracts, we're looking at 13 days lower now, which is just a hard pill to swallow. I do really think that we've got to get through the end of this month, the end of July here, and hopefully August can give us something. We have had the last 2 days, I will say, in the cattle complex. Maybe this is just me being hopeful and reading into this, but it seems like a different feel than what we've had for the prior 2 weeks. It seems like every time there's an opportunity to really sell off, and you expect to maybe see $3-4 lower over the course of an hour. We're just not getting that, and we'll kind of make a little bit of a bottom and then buy up a little bit. Seeing the same thing today. It's hard to. That probably sounds silly when we're down $2 in the feeders and $1 in the live cattle, but it just seems like maybe we're starting to find just a little bit of footing there. Now, of course, we've got a low from June 4th. It's a different number, obviously, depending on the contract, but that's not quite so $10 lower in the feeder cattle and a handful lower in the live cattle. If we can use that and find some support there, I think that should be positive for the entire cattle complex. Now, obviously, if that doesn't hold, we're looking at a whole different story.
What's the best way for our listeners to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yep, www.comstock.com, and our office number is 712-227-1110.
Zach Hooker of Comstock, my guest here today. Zach, thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it, and have a great rest of the day.
You as well. Thank you.
In rural Iowa, we know you're sold on your local radio station. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network partners with local Iowa stations to deliver the latest in agriculture news, including grain elevator prices, market reports, and ag policy news. Trusted local voices, trusted ag content. This message is brought to you by your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters. You're listening to Iowa Ag Matters, and joining us now is Rod Bain from USDA Radio as he highlights the USDA scientific research priorities.
It is building upon previous efforts in the realm of scientific research within the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
The USDA Science Blueprint, as well as the U.S. Agricultural Innovation Strategy.
Now the Undersecretary for Research, Education, and Economics, Scott Hutchins, is among those working with Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins and other USDA officials in instituting a set of priorities for scientific research for the department. I'm Rod Bain. The Undersecretary goes over the priorities and what they perhaps look like on the field and consumer levels in this edition of Agriculture USA. USDA began 2026 working to implement a strategic plan for scientific research. That's stemming from a memorandum of understanding signed by the Agriculture Secretary as 2025 ended. 5 priorities are listed in the memorandum. What are they? And what might they look like in initiative or action form? The department's Undersecretary for Research, Education, and Economics, Scott Hutchins, starts with
increase U.S. grower and rancher profitability and or reduce variability in profitability.
Simply put, building upon what has made American agriculture the most productive grower of farm and food products in the world, while also advancing producer profitability.
Another area is to help us expand markets and uses of agricultural products and byproducts.
The Undersecretary says a core part of 2 REE agencies, the Agricultural Research Service and National Institute of Food and Agriculture, is expanding markets and uses of agricultural products and byproducts.
So that we can have value growth within our markets and increase the exports and ultimately reduce the trade deficit that we have in agriculture. And we've had some really good success in this space, particularly in the areas of biofuels, sustainable air fuels, and so forth and so on. But there's really no limit to the kinds of opportunities and the kinds of products and byproducts that we can continue to find from our various agricultural commodities, whether they be soybeans or whether they be some specialty products.
Perhaps one of the more recognizable aspects of ag research among USDA's scientific research priorities,
the need to protect the integrity of U.S. agriculture and horticultural systems from invasive species, foreign organisms, and the like. We have a number of very significant issues with regard to invasive pests, and we have situations where we're continuing to ensure or hope to maintain the integrity of our systems where these pests don't have a negative impact.
Then there is the priority of soil health improvement as a means to regenerate U.S. farm productivity.
To ensure that our land and our soil is perpetually more productive year in and year out. So if our land is able to produce more each and every successive year, that I think by definition suggests that it's healthy and that it can continue to regenerate that productivity. So there are a number of excellent tools and programs to help our farmers and ranchers do this. And our goal is to ensure that we put those in a context that we allow them to focus on their land and their farm profitability as a result of that.
Undersecretary Hutchins notes a 5th scientific research priority that consumers perhaps can relate to.
For us to utilize our extensive nutrition research to better understand the impact of nutrition and food on chronic diseases. One area that I'm particularly fascinated by and curious of and think holds a lot of promise is the notion of precision nutrition and the impact of food quality and so forth.
The Undersecretary sees the use of advanced technologies and artificial intelligence to advance USDA's research priorities and producer benefits.
The pace and the extent of its development has, I think, surprised everyone. And so within agriculture, we see that as an opportunity for us really to double down on a number of our long processes that have been the foundation for growth in agriculture. So one example might be how we can utilize artificial intelligence to help our plant breeders to develop more quickly new varieties and new traits and new attributes without having to continually focus on the traditional methods of doing all the field research. We can use AI as a way for us to reduce the number of trials, to reduce and improve the probability of success with particular attributes.
What the USDA scientific research priorities perhaps best reflect, according to the Undersecretary, is a comprehensive and connected system.
All the way from the beginning where the farmers are looking for profitability within their enterprise to the point where their produce and their products are the basis of improving human health and reducing chronic disease. We have a very wide spectrum of activity within RDE.
This has been Agriculture USA. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Rod Stewart.
When I see you tonight,
A special evening with the icon.
on a downtown train,
A night of hit after hit after hit with special guest Richard Marks. Friday, August 14th, Iowa State Fair Grandstand. Reserve tickets on sale now through iowastatefair.org. Don't miss an electrifying event. Friday, August 14th. Rod Stewart, live.
Thank you to Riley for helping to co-host the show today. I'm Mark Magnuson. Thanks for listening to Iowa Ag Matters. We'll be back again tomorrow here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Have a great day.